Now, when we translate a shape, we simply move it from one part of the page or the axes to another. And the journey that that shape goes on is defined by what's called a column vector. Now, the column vector is written in the form x, y. It looks a little bit like a coordinate, and essentially the same sort of principles apply. The x value tells us how far we move in the x direction, and the y value tells us how we move in the y direction. So for example, 2, 3 means I would travel 2 spaces to the right, the x direction, and then 3 spaces up in the y direction. If I had -3, -5, it means I would travel 3 spaces to the left, so still the x direction, but backwards this time. And the -5 means that we move 5 spaces down, so still in the y direction, but this time down. If we take a look at an example here, they want us to translate this shape by the vector 4, 6. So from what we've just looked at, we know that means we need to move the shape 4 spaces to the right in the x direction and 6 spaces up. Now, same with most of these transformations. Let's fix a corner on that shape there, and we're going to move this corner 4 to the right and 6 up. So we see our little construction lines going in there, 4 across and 6 up, and that's where our new corresponding corner will be. Now you can do that for every corner on the shape and end up with a little outline of corners that you can then join up. But if you feel confident enough drawing the shape using the squares provided, because remember, a translation doesn't change the size or direction of the shape, you can just draw the shape in. So that red shape there is as a result of translating the blue one by the vector 4, 6. Now, once again, we're going to go and look at an example together. So get your equipment and you can plot this next translation with me. The example we're going to see now is an example of a translation, which remember is defined by a column vector which tells us where to move the shape in and how much in each direction. So this particular question tells us to translate shape x by the vector 4, 3 and label it y. And it then asks us to translate shape y by the vector -2, 5 and label it z. And then the final part of the question asks us what the vector would be that would take us straight from shape x to shape z. So let's do that first translation to find our new shape y. Now, it tells us it wants us to translate shape x by the vector 4, 3. Now we know that means 4 across and 3 up. So picking a corner of our shape x, so counting 4 across and 3 up gives us our new corner up here. Now remember, translation doesn't change the shape or the size or the direction it faces, so this corner here can now inform us on where the rest of our shape is. So it would now go 2 back, 3 up, and we can fill in those nice and easily as we know the shape hasn't changed direction or size at all. Now we can join up our points with our ruler. And remember, the question told us to label the new shape y. Now, second part of the question asks us to translate shape y by the vector -2, 5. So, once again, starting from y this time, -2, 5, remember, means 2 backwards and then 5 up. So let's pick a corner for y. We'll go 2 back, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. So this is the back corner of my new shape. And once again, I can fill in all my points as I know the shape hasn't changed direction or size at all. And now I can join these points up with my ruler. And this will give me my second translated shape, which is Z. We label it as the question asked us to with Z. So we've now translated to give us shape Y and then translated again to give us shape Z. Now, the third part of the question says write down the vector that would translate X to Z. So in other words, without going via Y, how would I get from X to Z? Well, let's take a look at the two shapes then, X and Z. And all we need to do now is to fix one corner of the shape and see how we would move that to get from one to the other and then put that in a column vector form. So let's pick this end corner here. Now I want to get from here to the corresponding corner there on Z. So we'll count the journey I have to make in both directions. I go 2 across, and then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 up. So remember that journey. I went 2 across and 8 up. So my column vector then that translates X to Z would be 2, 8. I go 2 across and then 8 up to get straight from X to Z.